Hey there, everybody. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of What's Hot with Sea of Tranquility. It's Wednesday, new review day here on the channel, as always, each and every Wednesday. Today, we're going to take a look. We're going to do a little unwrapping, unboxing, as well as talk a little bit about this very cool vinyl reissue of some sessions that folks might have already heard, but you maybe just never had the opportunity to hear them and buy it on vinyl. It's Jethro Tull, the Chateau de Herouville Sessions 1972, otherwise known as the Chateau Disaster tapes, right? Of course, this was originally the album conceived to be a passion play, wound up not being a passion play. Then, of course, many years later, we saw a couple of different versions of these recordings, right? You had some of it on the box set in 1988. Then, of course, on Nightcap, you had most of the entire sessions, but retouched up in the studios with lots of added flute by Ian Anderson in 1991 or 92, whatever year that was, whatever year it was, I forget the year. But then, with the 40th anniversary of the Passion Play box set, we actually got the entire sessions, all the recordings, remixed by Steven Wilson. So now, and that was on, of course, CD and the CD box set. Now we've got, for the first time on vinyl, 2 LP set of the remixes by Steven Wilson, along with some additional stuff. All right, so we're going to unwrap it here. All right, so we're going to take this plastic off because I want to see for the first time. And I've actually heard this. I actually have multiple versions already of this. I haven't listened to the vinyl, obviously, because I don't have a record player, right? But I have heard this. I've heard it on the stream, and I've got, like I said, multiple CD versions of this. So here we've got, all right, we got the inside, lots to read there. If you want to get the whole picture, all right, front and back, and then on the inside, this would be, I think it's just regular black vinyl. Yeah, regular black vinyl. So let's take a look at the other slab here. Got some lyrics. So, for those of you who are not familiar with this, and maybe only have ever heard a passion play, you are in for a treat. Because I will go out on a limb and say that I love passion play, but I like the Chateau Disaster tapes, the early version of the album, even more. So basically the story is Jethro Tull went into the Chateau de Herouville, however the hell you say that, Chateau de Herouville, however you say it. I'm not French, I guess that's how you say it, or something similar. I'm sure it'll get corrected down in the comments below. Basically, they went into the studios just outside of Paris to record this album, and all sorts of crazy things were happening in the studio. Ian and the band were just not happy with anything that was going on, so they recorded all this stuff. They basically did the whole album, and then in listening to it, they were just not happy with anything, and Ian made the final decision that, you know what, we don't like this studio, we don't like the way this album is coming out, let's scrap everything, find another studio, and just start fresh, because I'm just not liking the way this album is coming out. So his original vision of the album is not what he wound up doing, obviously, because this sounds completely different to what a passion play sounds like. But what they did do is they took bits and pieces of this album, which eventually became a passion play, as well as Warchild. So what you hear here, what you hear on this album with these recordings, is the kind of the genesis and the building blocks for what eventually became a passion play in Warchild. All right, so I'm going to go through the tracks here. Side one, you got the Big Top, Scenario, and Audition, which for me, those three together are amazing. Really, really good. Skating Away on the Thin Ice of the New Day. Yep, that was originally recorded during these sessions. Sailor and No Rehearsal. No Rehearsal is great. Side 2, Left Right, Solitaire, and then Critique Oblique Part 1 and Part 2, about 8 minutes and change between the two of them. Side 3, you got Animale, First Dance and Second Dance, The Story of the Hare Who Lost His Spectacles, Law of the Bungle Part 1, Tiger Tune, and Law of the Bungle Part 2. That makes up the original Chateau disaster recordings right there. One thing when you listen to this, you'll notice it's pretty damn heavy. Most of this stuff is pretty rocking. This, as it is, this is one of the heaviest Jethro Tull albums ever. There's lots of Martin Barr, big, heavy riffing. You'll notice, though, there's a lack of flute on this album, on these recordings, which I think is why on the Nightcap sessions, Ian wanted to go back in, because maybe they just never got around to finishing the album, obviously, and maybe those final touches would have been him dropping in all of his flute playing, which they never really did. There's a bit, but there's not a lot, and that's the crazy thing. I love this mix by Steven Wilson because I think it brings out the kind of heaviness of these arrangements, and the vocals are very nicely mixed. I really like the way Ian sounds on here, but it's lacking flute. The Nightcap album, which Ian went back into the studio and added in all the flute stuff in the 90s, I really like the flute on top of all this stuff. So it's really weird. I love the Nightcap versions, but yet I also really like these. I almost wish we can get like a meeting of the two. It would have been interesting if we could have had Steven Wilson work his magic and drop the flute into this mix. I think would have been absolutely fantastic. But you can only work with what you have available to you, right? So, and then over on side 4, you get Chateau Disaster Tapes, the Scenario Audition, No Rehearsal version from the 1988 box set mix. Again, a little bit different. These are all very different. Then you got Only Solitaire, which is from the 1974 Warchild mix. The Story of the Hare Lost His Spectacles from the 1973 A Passion Play mix, so you can compare and contrast. And then Skating Away on the Thin Ice of the New Day from the 1974 Warchild mix. I would say that the Skating Away versions are fairly similar from the original recordings to what eventually wound up on Warchild. It's very, very similar. You'll hear a little subtle differences here and there, but really, really cool to kind of compare and contrast these. And I apologize for the glare coming in through the mid-afternoon here. But yeah, this is... it's funny. Like I said, I really love A Passion Play a lot, but for me, if all we had was whatever you wanted to call this, because I don't know, did they even have a name for it at the time? As it is, the Chateau de Herouville sessions, it's a top 3, 4, 5 Jethro Tull album for me. I like this a little bit more than I like A Passion Play. It's just, to me, it's a little bit more, Passion Play as it is very kind of conceptual and grandiose and freeform a little bit, and it kind of takes the thick as a brick formula and goes even more out there. But I love this. I think this is just absolutely great. And if you haven't heard it, you need to hear it. Amazing stuff. Jethro Tull, Chateau de Herouville Sessions, 1972. Like I said, if you already have the CD version, you're not really a vinyl guy, you don't really need this because it's basically what you have on the Passion Play box set. All right, included in there. And plus, it's got other versions of things on here too. But if you don't have any of that stuff, this is well worth getting. Of course, you got to be a vinyl person, right? So, but yeah, thank you so much to the label who sent this to me. And I will be making sure. A good friend of mine who's a big Jethro Tull fan and has a turntable and collects vinyl will be getting a copy of this. But I want to make sure those folks do have this. So again, what seemed to be an ideal choice of a residential studio near Paris turned into a nightmare. The resultant aborted recordings, wittily dubbed the Chateau Disaster Tapes, remain unreleased for many years. This 2 LP set contains the original 16 tracks mixed by Steven Wilson and a 4th side showing how a handful of recordings did get used on subsequent albums. It basically tells it all right there. So yeah, this is amazing. 4.5 out of 5 star. Love it, love it, love it. If you've heard it, let us know what you think down in the comments below. If you haven't, go check it out. And I tell you, if you're hearing this stuff for the first time, you're going to absolutely love it if you're a Tull fan. So anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. I'm Pete Pardo. See you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.